Hi, everybody. The following is a podcast, so you will not be seeing anything on your screen, but you're going to need to listen to the video that corresponds here with chapter 6 in your textbook.
Welcome to this podcast. I am your host, Jessica Matthews. Today we have two fantastic guests joining us here to talk all about theming and inclusive positive language in group fitness classes. I have with me today Chris Freitag, internationally recognized group fitness instructor and founder of Get Healthy You. I also have with us veteran group fitness instructor Tina Anderson. We couldn't have, I don't think, ladies, more brain power and group fitness experience on this podcast than we do right now. I'm really excited to talk about this topic, really talking about theming and the use of positive and inclusive language in group fitness classes, serving as the foundation for creating memorable movement experiences. So to me, I look at this as how do we elevate the great instruction that we provide our group fitness participants by considering these additional elements that really enhance what we offer as group fitness instructors. I'd love to open the conversation just a bit about thinking about the language choices that we use in group fitness classes and how that can really enhance and make a meaningful impact in terms of the experience, the stage, if you will, that we set for our group fitness participants to learn and grow. Tina, I'd love to get some of your perspective from your many decades of experience as a group fitness instructor. How do you approach utilizing language that really creates this cohesive and inclusive experience for participants?
Excellent question. You know, the bottom line with group fitness is that it is group energy. And most of us know by now that when you put a bunch of people in any size room, it's collective energy. The way that you can start that off with a positive note is to acknowledge that, for instance, hey, we might not all know each other personally, but we share a common goal, we share a passion, and the best thing we can do is jump into this workout understanding that we support each other throughout the entire workout. Bring your A game and realize that your energy affects the person next to you, the front row, the back row. And if you start off that way, just acknowledging that you're there together with a common goal, it unites your class. That would be my first thought, is acknowledge there is one common thing that we all have. I would kick off with that.
On such a valuable topic, which is creating this sense of community, because as you mentioned, we're all in this experience together, group fitness instructor and participants alike. And I love that you mentioned, kind of addressing that, bringing that up, almost having that as a theme, if you will, which we'll talk more about theming as in a little bit, but just as a theme for each of the experiences that you create of creating and cultivating that community.
As an instructor, keep in mind that you're there to erase and replace the thoughts people bring into class. Your language is not to remind someone not to do something. Like if I say to you, whatever you do, do not think about how hard you're going to work. Well, what? Right? What you do is you come in and say intuitively, I'm here for you, and we're all at different levels. But the bottom line is we have this goal. What's going to work for you? Push yourself more. Take a break if you need it. Support each other in the class. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. It's common sense. And then everybody feels like it's okay if I can't do that. It's okay if I pick up 5 pounds. It's okay if I don't get the dance move.
And I love that you touched on a big topic, which is creating that inclusiveness in a class experience. So, acknowledging that, participants are coming in at all different levels, abilities, knowledge, experience with the class format in particular that you might be teaching. And I love just some of the ways that you've talked about strategies you've provided for how to make that experience a really positive one. Dare I say even a really fun one, right? And yeah. I would love to get Chris's insight, if I may, Chris, talking about, again, acknowledgement of, the fact that we as group fitness instructors, we teach multi-level classes to a wide variety of participants. And I would love to hear just your experience in, really focusing on this positive and inclusive language that welcomes everyone to sort of come as is, whatever they're going through that day. Do you mind sharing a bit about what you do personally?
To meet all the different levels of people in the class, you mean? Yeah, because, kind of dovetailing on what Tina just said, you're going to have all walks of people in your class, and you want to keep it positive. I try to avoid the don't do this, you can't do this, or that kind of stuff, because it just sets the wrong tone. And a lot of times, we all know, we're kind of trying to work through a breakthrough in our mind. And sometimes I will acknowledge that, if you're feeling kind of today, guess what? I sometimes feel that way too, but we're going to change our can'ts to cans. We're going to, work on everybody getting a good workout, kind of what Tina said. But when it comes to multi-level, I always say, listen to your body and do what works for your body. And what works for your body doesn't necessarily work for the person next to you. That doesn't mean that you won't come out with the same workout, that you won't get the same outcome, but everybody's body is different. So you can get a great low impact workout. You can get a great high impact workout. I don't like to tell people you're a beginner or you can't do this. I tend to use the word creativity in my class. So I say, all right, you guys, we're going to get creative. This is all about our creative side of our brain. So let's just say today your knee is bugging you. You're going to have to get creative how not to bother that knee. And if there's a move that doesn't work for you, then you modify it or you create something different. So we talk about a creative license. That's what I try to spend a lot of time thinking about. And as you teach more group fitness and as you are in more group fitness classes, you come to realize that nobody really cares what the person next to them is doing. Let's face it, we're there for ourselves. So you want to make everybody feel included, and you want to make everybody feel welcome, that they don't have to feel uncomfortable that they're doing something. I always, it's kind of become my signature saying through everything I do, but I always say, yes, you can. And people walk into my class and they'll look at me and they'll go, yes, you can. Because I'm always trying to get people in that mindset of not what you can't, but it's what you can do today.
I love, thank you both for sharing so much. I mean, just positivity right here. This conversation has me excited, and I can only imagine how this applies and just the experience that you create using the type of language that you both have shared, your practical examples of creating these really inclusive experiences. I love the use of the word creativity. I love, encouraging people what they can do. You've both touched on that versus telling them what they can't do or what they shouldn't do. Really using that positive language to guide the experience and be that common thread through the experience. I would love to segue off of that, talking about a common thread, to talk a little bit about theming in group fitness classes. As part of creating, these really compelling movement experiences, one tool, if you will, that we have at our disposal as group fitness instructors is utilizing a theme in different ways. There's many different ways we can touch on the idea of theming. Chris, I'd love to start with you, just sharing your experience about how you utilize this concept of theming in some of the group fitness formats that you teach.
Theming has a lot of connotations because sometimes you think of it as a holiday or, as a, something having to do with the seasonality. But I kind of think of theming myself as, for instance, like in cycle, especially in indoor cycling. I think playlists can often open up to a lot of different theming. Now, I've been teaching the same cycle class at the same time on the same day for over 15 years. So, I kind of always joke, I'm like, let's face it, we're going nowhere on a bike. We need to, find a way to make this really fun. And one of the things that makes it fun is music. So I'll do a lot of themed classes for my music, which is things like we'll do, certain artists, and we'll have a theme of like all the same artists, or a certain type of music or a certain decade of music, and that'll be a fun way to theme. For instance, like in a yoga class, having it be all, today we're going to really focus on opening up through our hips, or we're going to do a lot of standing poses today, or we're going to focus on balance today. Maybe, that is a common theme. I teach a lot of circuit classes, so I will theme the circuit class with the type of timing that I'm using. Today we're going to do 30-30, or where we kind of theme it based on the timing of something. Or it could be a body part. Like today, we're really focusing on our squat. I'm going to help you do a better job with your squats, or I'm going to help you do, so there's all different ways to kind of create that themed focus. And it's kind of a fun way to take the same class and make it different, every time.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing some of those great strategies, ways that you apply this concept of theming to the group fitness formats that you teach. And what we see through all the examples you provided is really there are a lot of different ways to look at this concept of theming and to apply it to different formats in a way that best serves kind of our participants and what really kind of feels natural to us as well as group fitness instructors. I do want to touch on a key point about theming that I think is worth discussing at this moment, which is the fact that the theme is that common thread, as I mentioned before, that it really should, set the stage for the experience and be carried through from the start of the class all the way through the end of the experience. I'd love to get, Tina, your input as well on this topic of just how you personally have incorporated themes into the various class formats that you teach, and any other just practical examples, strategies, tips that you would be open to sharing.
Here's what I will tell you about theme classes. I think this is really, really helpful. I used to produce morning radio. When you go into a class, you're producing an hour, right? Because let's face it, you're sort of an entertainer as well. You're an educator and you're entertaining. And when you do a theme class, you're basically adding a different element to how you teach. And when I go in, I think of that. I'm producing this. What are the variables? And if you have a class where you can change lighting, or you can bring any accoutrements, if you can, like, not that you're going to bring a disco ball in, but if there's something you can bring in that's a prop, you can add that as well. That will open up so much more choreography for you as well.
Absolutely, and I love and thank you both for all of the, the practical tips, the strategies that you've shared of how to look at a broad concept like theming and apply it in a number of different ways. You guys have both touched on everything from, the music that you might use to help enhance the experience or kind of set as a focal point. It might be equipment considerations, how you structure the experience, like physically in the room that day. There's so many different ways that we can approach creating a theme, whatever that might be for our class experience. But at the end of the day, the common thing that I heard from our discussion is it really does add this element of fun, something we do want to reinforce as group fitness instructors. It does create an experience that ultimately does keep people coming back for more. I appreciate the time that you've spent with us today, sharing all of your great insight from your many years of combined experience. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you all for listening. And I hope this information is helpful for you as you think about those key considerations, from the words that you share to the experiences that you create for your group fitness participants.